Joining us now to talk more about American efforts to help Israel is Niall Stanage, White House columnist at The Hill. Niall, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Good to be with you, Natasha.
I do want to start with Senator Chuck Schumer saying today that the Senate is going to push an aid package through without waiting for the House. Given that the House is currently without a leader, is this wishful thinking from Schumer, or is an aid package without House support feasible?
To me, what that is really about, Natasha, is trying to put moral pressure on the House to act. That is how Senator Schumer was framing that idea. He talked about there being dysfunction in the House, but that he is not going to wait for them to get their act together. Now, the procedures of Congress get very arcane very quickly. I think what he is suggesting is if the Senate passed a package, could the House find some kind of exceptional rule under which they could push this through? The people who know whether that's true or not know a lot more about House procedure than I do, but I think that's what he's talking about.
Is there a potential perception here that the U.S. will spread itself too thin with efforts to send massive support to both Israel and Ukraine at the same time?
That is definitely a concern. Now, it's a concern that members of the administration have definitely tried to push back quite firmly against. The U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, for example, gave a news conference on Friday morning U.S. time where he was talking about the capacity of the U.S. to provide aid both to Ukraine and Israel simultaneously. Clearly that is possible. The problem is that there has been, I think, an increasing polarization around the issue of aid to Ukraine, and now the Israeli situation seems so evidently grave that I think there's a push by some to really prioritize that.
And Niall, we are watching this moment. I think our viewers can see it on the bottom right of their screen, a live look at the Tampa airport right now where Americans who are trapped in Israel did take that chartered flight home. We know that Governor Ron DeSantis is on the ground waiting to greet them. Niall, what, if any, impact does the Israel-Hamas conflict have on the 2024 presidential election? What are you tracking there?
So I think there are several potential impacts. If we're talking about the Republican field, obviously people who can show expertise in foreign policy or an ability to get things done could stand to benefit politically. This can be tricky because, of course, when one talks about political benefits from something that is so horrific, there's always a danger of looking as if you're trying to capitalize in a cynical way. But I mean, clearly no one is going to object to Americans being brought home, whether it's Governor DeSantis or anyone else playing a driving role in that. And on the other side of the aisle, President Biden will obviously be seeking to really emphasize his experience in foreign affairs. He knows all of the main players. But if anything further goes wrong, including in the grave scenario of hostages, obviously there could be downsides to that. We've seen that with past presidents like Jimmy Carter during the Iran hostage crisis.
Yeah, and Niall, we are looking at this moment right now. Governor DeSantis is shaking hands and patting shoulders. He is in the frame as we talk about this, but always appreciate the context and time. Niall Stanage, thank you so much. Have a great evening. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.